Hey, we made it through the weekend. Yay! Tabitha is here, wants to talk about Superman, but he also wants to say, we got to talk about Jurassic World for a second, too. So, hey, Superman, this is a full review of Superman. It is a bumpy, noble ride adventure without origin stories. Is that good and bad? Yes, both at the same time. Let me tell you more about that. Plus, I'm going to give you a quick update on the box office. So please listen here, and we'll give you some info quickly. This is Norb with Silver Age. Bottom line, we look at the classic age of comic books, golden age of comic books, and TV and movies. And Superman crosses all that. So let's talk quickly about box office. Numbers came out. Internationally, they're definitely soft. Maybe it's because Superman has got the truth, justice, and American way thing on it. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. But basically, it did 217 mil worldwide per ComScore and a couple other sources. Domestically, 122 million. Internationally, 95. Kind of soft. Now, interestingly, I'm comparing that to Jurassic World coming out the prior week. I know it's not quite comparable because Jurassic World actually had another day or two to play, but you got to remember, Superman had this Prime Fandango event early on Tuesday at all these large screens, which I'm suspecting made for up like $20 million. So I think it makes it comparable. So the first week of Jurassic World Rebirth, domestically was 147 mil. Compared to 120 mil for us, for Superman. Internationally, 174 mil against 95, almost double. And a take at that point of 322 million. What do these numbers tell us? It does tell us one thing for sure. I think the superhero genre is still solid. And I don't think we have superhero fatigue, but I do think internationally, we have the challenges with truth, justice, and American way aspect of this. Now into my review. Bumpy Noble Ride. This, you know, to me, the first 20 minutes is choppy. I don't want to say choppy, but it's like, from a marketing perspective, I don't understand why you basically, everything we kind of seen in the trailers, the majority of what we saw in the trailers actually happens right in the beginning and thrown in there. So the surprise stuff, the aspects that we should have been able to really all of a sudden get sucked in and really enjoy the story at that moment, I think it's taken away. So I think that's a bad thing that James Gunn and company did. Marketing guys, there's some other things you could take a little bit later. So I think that was a little bit of a problem. Yes, it's bumpy. I think that overall there was a lot of choppiness in this. I also think from a bumpy perspective, there's stuff that was being left on the cutting room floor to keep it under 2 hours and 7 minutes. That probably could have added a lot more to this, a little bit more like some flashbacks, some other little more things on on Superman. Superman needed to be seen more than he is. From a character perspective, the actor perspective, I think there were some that were definitely standout actors in this. I will specifically call out David Corenswet. Excellent job. I can believe he's Superman. No question. Well done. Oscar worthy? Yeah, not quite, but I believe it. Good thing in the character. Lois Lane, the actress, did, Rachel Bohansen. She did Bohansen. Did really well. I liked her. She brought some new depth to the character. Lex Luthor, Nicholas Hoult. I thought he was really good, especially the first half of the movie. But the writing in that, it caused him to not be as believable and as worthy an adversary as the movie went on and on and on, especially toward the end. I thought he did a great job up front. He showed the evil, the coldness, the methodical, the brilliance. But later he didn't show that brilliance. I think that's a writing issue that we definitely had in this. Then Eddie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific. You know, frickin', he almost stole this whole frickin' movie. Of all the acting, he probably did the best. Incredible chops. He definitely stole a lot of the show from the Superman character. I wish they would tone that somehow down more, or actually the way they toned it down was they should have given, as we talked about a few minutes ago, given Superman more things to do, more things for us to understand and believe about him. I think that was one of the gaps in this movie. So that's part of the bumpy ride here. And then, you know, the other ancillary characters, they were good. Well, I still like Guy Gardner, Nathan Fillion. But I wish we saw more of him. I'd like to hear your thoughts and comments on these guys. Please let me know. Now, additionally, from a bumpy ride perspective overall in the Superman movie, it's like, okay, I get the lack of origin stories and stuff like that. I get that. But it was like little chop, 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 chop. And, you know, the fact all of a sudden Superman, he recovers too quickly, it doesn't make a lot of sense. A lot of things like that don't make a lot of sense. So those things were bumpy rides. And kind of the bumpy ride was him giving himself up to the authorities. I don't know if he would, I think if he would have thought about it, he would never give himself up directly to Luthor's control. I think he was thinking that he was potentially just going to go on trial or something like that. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And I think Luthor just took a tremendous advantage of trying to get him and kill him. And eventually we see at the end of this, the whole thing, Luthor's whole drive on this is jealousy, that he's jealous of Superman's attention. So, you know, that's one of the things. And then back to Luthor for a second. Connection back to the original Christopher Reeves movie, the original Superman movie we saw and all loved. You know, this behind me. One of the things Lex did in that, real estate. He was after real estate. Well, shit, he was after real estate in this too. They subtly said that, but you know, he wanted land, he wanted to be king of his own nation, etc., and whatever else was there. He wanted to keep building his wealth, but he's already a billionaire, billionaires. I mean, supposedly he gave $80 billion to this dictator for pennies on the dollar. So it's like he didn't need any more money. Okay, there it is. Another bumpy thing here with Lex was these monkeys being, you know, loading the internet with all the comments about negative comments about Superman. Well, shit, we got bots right now. I guess that's a gun thing. I guess that's definitely a gun thing. The monkey thing we saw, that should not have been there. Screw that. That should have been vaporized for other things like, guess the flashbacks a little bit. We don't really need to know necessarily where and how Guy Gardner got the ring. But it would be nice to know just a little bit more about his character than what we quickly saw. And Hawkgirl, my gosh, biggest mystery. You see her name called out as Sandra's, but we don't know who she is. In the comic books, she has so many different iterations. DC messed that character up a lot of different times, reincarnation, etc., etc. So she's Thangarian from another planet as well. It would be nice just to have a little more tweaking what she was. Maybe she was an archaeologist, maybe something. Just tell us something like that. A little hint. I don't need a lot more than that, but we need a little bit of that. Mr. Terrific. In the comic books, I think he's almost a billionaire, developing all these things. So tell us a little bit about that. But why is he more working for Maxwell Lord later on? We find out from the Justice Gang stuff. Why? I mean, that's a big gap that we could have had some additional story thing. That's, to me, it's a continuity gap. That's a problem here. That's the thing that happens a lot here. We got a lot of broken stuff now. From the nobleness, the noble journey. Superman truly believes in his heart everything he believes. You know, he is the champion for the little man, brings morals and everything else that affects. Sorry, the kitty's hair is flying here. But you know, I think that was, and then it was broken when it came out. Spoilers. Well, we already know in spoilers that his parents' message that he got from Krypton was basically, "Hey, come to Earth, become its king, ruler, and impregnate the population, so we have more Kryptonians. They'll come there and take your place, and you rule." Rule doesn't say with a heavy hand or not. And of course, that's one of the reasons why Superman lost all the people supporting him. They started throwing shit at him and crap like that. But then he showed more of a journey. He showed a journey to show how noble he is by going through this whole movie. And eventually, of course, you know, he had the showdown with Lex and basically saying, "Hey, you know, in a way, paraphrasing, I'm more human than you because I've done da-da-da-da and all these challenges." So that retconning, it's one thing. And of course, the other thing about this retconning that I guess the S does not mean hope anymore from a Family Crest perspective. You know, that never made sense to me in the comic books and movies when it happened. So I applaud that's getting rid of. But then keeping the other thing that kind of bothered me is like, from a canon perspective, Pa Kent's still alive. Again, you needed that to reinforce the nobleness of Superman in this movie. You needed that in place, but I like to still keep some canon aspects in here. You know, I wish you would have embraced it a little bit more, James Gunn. So, but that was a Bumpy Noble thing. And, you know, overall, I look at the first half, the first 20 minutes, I think that was disabled, bottom line, because of the marketing trailers that were utilized in there. Some of the storytelling, not as good as it could have been. It would be nice to know a little bit more about Metamorpho, especially the indirect connection with Stag Industries when Superman and the Justice King went into this one building and Green Lantern Green's out the window so nobody can see. And you see the Stag Industry sign. It'd be nice to say a little bit of that. And then we could see the connection to Metamorpho. A quick flashback. Once again, not quick. I don't need background. I don't think we need the backgrounds of how he got his powers. And then, you know, the baby. And then we see this little quick thing a little bit later with Metamorpho saying against with somebody, and I know that's got to be Sapphire Stag. It'd be nice to know that connection as well. So that was a gap. It was a miss. I wish you had done that, connected that a little bit better. I think this movie would have been a lot more sharp. Yeah, and I think putting too many heroes in here was a problem too. To me, and especially the engineer. By the way, I love the engineer character. I like to know why she let her body be changed more than just the little subject of, well, I want my body to be changed so I can stop people like you. I wish we'd known a bit more. Metahumans, 300 years, 3 centuries of them. I'd like to know who maybe the first one was in James Gunn's mind. So there it is. Also, bottom line, hey, my rating overall. I revised my scales. This is my last revision now, guys. Basically, it's a 7-point scale. Platinum, because I'm a Star Trek fan as well. Star Trek. Platinum, gold, silver, bronze, tin, lead, and then nothing. But that's not. That's an 8th point that doesn't exist. So I gave Jurassic World Rebirth last week a silver. I give this a gold. Now that's the 3 from the top. So does Academy Award winning capability? No. Hey, that's my thoughts. I want to hear your feelings on this, but I think a solid movie. All right, and I did see it twice. I would recommend you guys seeing it 100%. But beware, it's going to be a little bit bumpy, but it is a noble journey, and it brings back Superman back to our hearts. To that, James Gunn, I applaud you. Nor with Silver Age. I'd like to hear your comments. Everyone have a great day. Take care.